Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wear It Wednesdays. Thank you all very much for joining. If you are here live, let me know that you're here. Just drop a hello, good morning, good afternoon in the chat. I will definitely love to know that you're here. If you're watching the replay, thank you very much for coming back and listening to today's conversation. If you're looking to take your professional image and style to the next level in a way that's obviously authentic to you, then you are definitely in the right place. Before I kick off any of these conversations, I do like to have a wellness check-in just to see how you're doing. I know the holiday seasons can be difficult for some of you, and so I'm sending you love and light your way. And for me, I am still a bit under the weather, not as bad as I was last week, but I do want to ask your understanding. I'm going to try and suppress this cough as much as I can. So I'm going to try and keep this conversation as well as short as possible and informative as possible for you to learn and grow. So thank you for being here. If you're new to this space, I'm Salida Roberts, the founder of Style to Impact. One quick announcement. Don't forget that you can give the gift of style this holiday season to your friends, your colleagues, your loved ones, any woman in your life that you feel will benefit from having more confidence in herself, not just how she shows up, but also in her wardrobe. To purchase gift cards, you can go to styletaimpact.com/gift cards. And of course, the gift cards are based on your amount that you wish to gift someone, and there are immediate delivery. But if you do want me to send one of these lovely cards to that special person, then obviously once you purchase the card, you can let me know that you want me to send an actual card to them, and I will do that. So again, to purchase gift cards, that's styletaimpact.com/gift cards. And so I want to, as we get into today's conversation of letting go of conformity to really become your best self, I'm going to use a pretty weird analogy right now. So bear with me, brace with me. It's going to all make sense. And as I shared a little bit earlier that, I'm suppressing this cough that I have, and I'm trying as much as I can not to cough on camera, right? I'm doing audio and I'm doing a video, and I don't want to cough on camera. And so to not do that, for me to not do that, I have to focus a lot on containing my cough while at the same time performing this task of talking to you, of having this conversation. And it can feel where my chest is compressing, where I'm using all my muscles and my thought process while I'm talking to you to ensure that that I'm not coughing, that I'm breathing in a way that allows me to speak, but at the same time not cough. And so conformity can feel like that, where you're suppressing yourself, you are suppressing this person that you are because you don't want to show who you are from fear of offending anyone, from fear of not appearing to be, where you have your everything together, where you appear not to in a professional sense. So you suppress yourself. And if you do that for too long of a time, by suppressing who you are, hiding who you are, eventually what's going to happen, that's going to take a toll on not only your mental health, but it's going to also take a toll on your confidence. It's going to also take a toll on your performance level, right? And so instead of holding down and suppressing who you are, I want you to start thinking about ways in which you can really express yourself. Now, I'm not going to cough on camera. I'm going to try my best not to cough on camera, but I hope that you do understand where I'm coming from. Like, we've all wanted to cough at some point in our lives. And if you think about what it takes to keep that down and how it can impact you. It's the same thing that happens when you're conforming and when you're suppressing who you are. And so I look at conformity as a two-prong type of bias and barrier. There's the internal conformity where we are fearful of what other people will think, right? We're suppressing who we are because we're fearful of what someone else may think of us. And then there's the external bias where society, like the societal norms and society's definition as to how we should show up and who we should be in the world dictates how we show up. And I wanted to focus on both internal and external because they both have an impact on how we show up and how happy we are in our day-to-day life, in our 9 to 5, and in corporate spaces, and just living the life that we want. And so when we think of conformity in terms of the external biases and how society wants us to show up in the world, it's what I find, no one comes out and say to you directly, don't do that. Don't speak this way. Don't show up this way. It's rooted in this idea of professionalism, right? When you think of operating in the corporate space and in operating in business, it's rooted in this idea of professionalism. To be professional, you have to conform to some ideas or some notion as to how you should show up, right? And so this idea of professionalism is the reason why you find Black women will straighten their hair. Black women will try to tame who they are and trying to make themselves more digestible to fit into this idea of what professional looks like. And so you find yourself conforming to this idea that did not, was not deemed or created with you in mind. And so you conform. And it's this idea of professionalism that makes women feel as though, we have to smile more to be taken seriously. Or we have to hide and not use our voice. Don't speak up. Don't take up too much room. So conform to this idea that to be seen as professional, to be seen as an expert, don't do too much. Is this idea that says to us as women, when we look at two prime ministers and they're being interviewed and the focus is on their age and not the fact that they're coming together to talk about, policies and changing the world, it must be because they're women, they're young. So let's put them in this box of coming together, not to talk about policies, but to have a good time, right? And this idea of professionalism and conforming, the external validation of trying to have us mold ourselves into something that we're not, is this idea that we have to pretend to be someone else. Don't be yourself. Don't be your whole self, right? We often hear about bringing your whole self to the workplace. And for many women in going into the workforce or in leadership position, or as Black women and women of color, that can often feel like a trap. Bring your whole self. Really, but not really. Because we need you to conform and fit into this idea of what professional looks like in order to be seen, to be promoted, to be given a seat at the table. And so as we think about, and as you think about what is it you want the new year to look like for yourself, what are some things that you want to do? I want you to start thinking about ways and the idea in which you are conforming, which you're not being yourself, right? Because when you're conforming to not just the internal biases of not wanting to appear as too much and trying to appease the external biases of appearing professional. Every day that you go to work, every day that you go to your 9 to 5, you feel unhappy, you feel emotionally drained because you are suppressing who you are. You're not allowing yourself to shine and to step into your whole and authentic self. And I know it can feel as though it's like a survival thing, right? It's like, I don't want to deal with trying to explain why my hair is like this today. I don't want to deal with the comments on what I decide to wear today. I don't want to deal with, the microaggressions that may come my way, in the form of, these little questions based on my identity and my personality. But here's the thing though, the more that you allow that to happen, the more that you stifle who you are, the more that you stifle your capabilities, the more you stifle being your authentic self and being a happy and healthier version of yourself. Right. And so we're going to unlearn those behaviors that cause us to conform, those behaviors that cause you to code switch, those behaviors that cause you to show up as a lesser version of yourself. And so we're going to open ourselves to becoming the best version of ourselves, starting today, simply by doing a couple of things. One, you're going to take responsibility for who you are and yourself. And here's what I mean by that. I just talked about the external, this idea of professionalism that puts us in a box. When you take responsibility for yourself, you're really sitting down with yourself and saying, who am I? And in that process of discovering yourself and asking yourself, who are you? I want you to think about, how are you conforming? How are you code switching? How are you not showing up as your best self? Make a note of that while you're thinking about what you want your 2023 to look like and beyond. And you're going through this transition of discovering yourself, becoming a better version of yourself, showing up for yourself, taking responsibility for who you are as an individual and how you want to show up in this world is part of that process that you should go through. So make a list. How are you conforming? What are some ways that you may not be using your voice? What are some ways that you may not be showing up for yourself? And be honest with yourself. And then once you have that list, on the other side of that paper, so you're going to grab a sheet of paper. One side, you're going to put ways that I'm conforming. And on the other side, you're going to put, what would it look like if you change these behaviors? So if you're conforming, if let's say, for instance, one of the ways that you're conforming is that you are not speaking up for yourself or you're not advocating for yourself. So on one side of the paper, you have, I'm conforming by not advocating for myself. On the other side, I want you to list 1 or 2 ways that you are going to start advocating for yourself. What are some behavioral changes that you have to make? Does that mean that whenever you're in a meeting or whenever you're doing an interview, you are looking at what is it you're bringing to the relationship? What is it you're contributing to the team? And really speaking up for yourself and talking about the things that you've accomplished. And the second thing that you need to do is to create a vision for yourself. While you're taking responsibility for yourself and understanding the ways in which you're conforming, I want you to start thinking about the vision you have for yourself and for your life. What does it look like? What does life look like for you in the next year, in the next 6 months, maybe in the next month, right? Because when we think about, I've always said that, and this is like my guiding light. I've tried to remind myself of this constantly. Whenever I find myself comparing myself to anyone, whenever I find myself talking negatively, whenever I find myself, not believing in myself or being afraid to do something, I remind myself that we have one life. I have one life. And I cannot live this one life that I have trying to fit into the stereotype of or boxes of what I should be and how I should show up. And so I want you, when you're thinking about your vision for your life, think about what are some of the things that you want to do with this one life, right? What are things that you don't want to get to that stage of your life where you're regretting things? The biggest regrets that we have and persons have in that final hour is not the things that they did, it's the things that they didn't do. Don't let conforming to this idea as to who you should be and how you should show up be that thing that you regret. And so create that vision for your life. What does that look like for you? And once you have an understanding of who you are and what your vision for your life looks like, I need you to build your courage. And building your courage is as simple as taking small steps, by doing small things to step into being who you are, to be more confident and comfortable being who you are. And when we think about building courage with your appearance, building courage in your wardrobe, building courage in yourself and how you show up, that can be something as simple as taking new headshots wearing your natural hair, and then updating your professional profile on LinkedIn, at work, and how you show up. It can be something as simple as replacing the hoodie with clothes that really represent who you are. I know for a lot of women in the executive level and C-suite, going into Silicon Valley and in the tech space, in order to assimilate and in order to fit in, you feel as though you have to wear the hoodie, when really and truly the hoodie is not who you are. And so having the courage to give that up and to start wearing clothes that really represent more of who you are. Start wearing clothes that you feel confident and comfortable wearing will allow you to show up in all the spaces knowing that you're being your authentic self. And so I really love this quote by Minda Hart. I'm going to paraphrase it, which says that one of the benefits of showing up as yourself is that others don't benefit from your caution. Others benefit from your courage. I'm going to repeat that. No one benefits from your caution, but so many people and so many women of color can benefit from your courage simply by you deciding to be yourself. Simply by you deciding to take that simple step of updating your headshot, wearing your natural hair. Simply by taking that simple step of embracing more of who you are. Remember that. Because once you have the courage to show up as yourself, what you're doing, you're creating spaces where other women and other young girls, other women of color can see themselves and have the courage to be themselves. And so I don't want to put any pressure on you when you're thinking about becoming your best self, but becoming your best self has the ability to impact other women and influence other women to be their best self. And so I encourage you, as you think about letting go of this idea of conforming and this idea of professionalism and redefining what all of that means for you, and being your best self and stepping into your authentic self, I want you to take off the suit of conformity. I want you to stop suppressing, as I shared earlier in this conversation, where I'm suppressing a cough because I don't want to cough on camera. But all that it takes for me to suppress this cough is the same that it's taking for you to suppress who you are. So take off the suit of conformity. Allow yourself to breathe easily. Allow yourself to stretch and to relax and to grow into the person that you are. Allow yourself to live this one life that you have to the best of your ability. Allow yourself to be open to trying different things when it comes to your wardrobe. Allow yourself to embrace your identity, your personality, and your appearance, and show up as your true and most healthiest and happiest self. I want to thank you all very much for joining me today. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you watching the replay. If you're here live, thank you very much for being here. I see this Tisha. I see there's a LinkedIn user, but I cannot read your name because it says LinkedIn user. But I want to thank you all very much for joining me. I always appreciate you joining me live and you coming back and watching these conversations. Thank you very much for your support throughout the years, and thank you very much for your continued support. And I look forward to working with as many as you as possible on redefining and defining your professional image and style in a way that's authentic to you, so that you can show up as the healthier and happier version of yourself in your corporate and your personal life. Thank you very much for connecting. If we haven't connected as yet, definitely hit that connect button in my profile. Send me a message and say hello. I would love to hear from you. Thank you for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a fantastic week ahead. Take care. Bye.